I was already using some operators throughout all these examples, for example when incrementing I or decrementing it. In the next lectures I'll go through a lot of operators JavaScript offers us and how to use them. I'll start with some basic addition operators here, and while this might sound trivial, there are some interesting amongst them, and it's especially interesting to learn how you can add variables which don't have the same types, for example string and number. So I'll generate a variable named a here, which is 5, and a variable b, which is 10. And then I will log a plus b. Well, I'm not going to ask what you think we'll see. Of course we see 15. Now let me add something else here. I'll add this statement, a plus equals b. And now I'm just printing a. What do you think we'll see here? Well, we still see 15, but now I changed the value of a to be equal to a plus b. So this operator could be rewritten as a plus b. Of course, this would still yield me 15 here. So it's a shorthand syntax to quickly add a number plus another number and reassign it to the first variable here. It's kind of comparable with a plus plus, which could also be translated in a plus 1. This of course is the incrementation operator you saw before. Therefore, if I hit run now, we see 6 because we increased a by 1. What do you think happens if I get rid of this and I change a to be 5.1 and b to be 3.5 or 4.5, and then I print a plus b? What do you think we'll see now? Well, of course we see 9.7, so adding floating numbers works in the same way. But I'll come back to floating numbers in the future since there are some issues with it. Let's put it that way. What happens if I set a equal to join and 4.5 equal to us? What do you now think we'll see here? Will we see join us? Indeed, we can add strings like this. We can add them like numbers and they will be concatenated into one string. What do you think we'll see if I change b to 3? Will we see join 3? Yes, we will see join 3. So now a string and a number has been concatenated into one string. Notice that 3 has been cast into a string here. Now what do you think happens if I change a to be 3 and b to be join? Will we see 3 join? Yes, this also works the other way around. So JavaScript tries to make this work, and as it recognizes it can't add both variables in a mathematical way, it will have a look at the next way it knows, creating strings. That's an important behavior to have in mind, which makes it of course easy to combine strings and variables and numbers or whatever. What happens if I change 3 to true? So it's a boolean now. What do you think we'll see now? True join. So as with numbers, JavaScript also tries to transform booleans into strings. What happens if I exchange true with an array where I have 1 and 2 inside? What do you now think we'll see? 1, 2 join. So even this does work. JavaScript is really clever and trying hard to make it work if we join something with a string. Now here's an interesting one. What happens if I set a to 12, 12, and b to 1 but as a string? What do you think we'll now see? Well, I'm not sure if you expected this, but we got 121. So again, JavaScript made this all a string. It did not recognize that this is a number too. What happens if we set b to true? So now we're trying to add true to 12. Remember that true also seem to be equal to 1. So what's happening now? Now we're getting 13. So we can add a number and a Boolean operator, since Boolean operators can easily be transformed into numbers. What happens if I add true and true? Well, we get 2 again, because true equals 1 if we would try to transform it into a number, and JavaScript tries to do that when adding it. So we can calculate with Booleans. The question, of course, is if we do want to do that, but it's important to understand how JavaScript works behind the scenes. So back to numbers, what happens if I try to add null to 12? What will we see now? Well, we see 12, so null is transferred into 0 when using it in calculations. And if we use undefined, what's happening then? We get not a number, because undefined isn't a number, and JavaScript doesn't transform it into 0 or anything like that. Instead, it just recognizes that it can't do this calculation, and in such cases, it will return us not a number to let us know that this calculation doesn't result in anything. The same is of course true if we set b to be equal to not a number. And of course you would rarely do this directly like this, but imagine b is itself the result of another calculation, and this calculation might return not a number. In this case, of course, we also get not a number as a result of this addition. So that was a lot of adding numbers or adding stuff. But as I said, I think it's very important to understand how JavaScript transforms certain values and works with values when we're trying to add them together. That's the reason why I put so much emphasis on this.